Sometimes life changes in a heartbeat, with one question that breaks down the walls we've spent years building. This is a story about finding love when you least expect it, challenging social expectations, and the courage to be vulnerable again. If this resonates with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more stories that touch the heart and inspire the soul. Rebecca Morgan stood at the edge of the charity gala, champagne flute in hand, watching the crowd with practiced detachment. At 48, she had mastered the art of commanding a room without seeming to try. Her tailored midnight blue dress complemented her silver-streaked dark hair, which she had stopped dyeing 2 years ago, a decision that had raised eyebrows among her executive peers but had felt strangely liberating. As the CEO of Horizon Technologies, Rebecca had spent the past decade building a reputation for ruthless efficiency and visionary leadership. The company's market value had tripled under her guidance. Business magazines featured her regularly, praising her strategic mind and unwavering focus. What those glossy features never mentioned was the profound loneliness that accompanied her success. Across the room, she noticed him again, the man who had caught her attention earlier during the charity auction. Tall with warm brown eyes and an easy smile that seemed genuine rather than practiced. Unlike the other men in expensive suits who networked aggressively throughout the evening, he appeared content speaking with just a few people, listening more than talking. When he laughed, it reached his eyes. "That's Michael Reeves," whispered Diane, Rebecca's chief of staff and closest thing to a friend. "He runs that community arts center downtown. Single dad, 1 daughter. His wife died about 4 years ago." Rebecca raised an eyebrow. "You seem remarkably well informed." Diane grinned. "I'm on the charity board, remember? He's donated his design services for our events for years. Talented man, good father. Completely different world from ours, though." "Different how?" Rebecca found herself asking, though she knew she shouldn't care. "Oh, you know. He turned down corporate jobs to focus on community work after his wife died. Wanted flexible hours for his daughter. Makes about 1/10 of what our junior executives do, but seems happier than any of them." The information should have ended her curiosity. Instead, Rebecca found herself gravitating toward him as the evening progressed. When they finally stood side by side at the bar, waiting for drinks, she struggled to find an opening that didn't sound contrived. "Your speech was impressive," he said, breaking the silence. "About technology creating more human connection, not less." "I liked that." Rebecca turned, surprised. "Thank you. Most people only remember the profit projections. I'm not most people." His smile was warm but held a hint of challenge. "No, I don't imagine you are, Mr. Reeves." "Michael, please." "Rebecca." Their conversation flowed with unexpected ease. He asked insightful questions about her work but seemed equally interested in her opinions on art, community, and education. He spoke of his daughter, Emma, with such unabashed love and pride that Rebecca found herself envying the child she'd never met. As the crowd thinned and the evening wound down, they found themselves on the terrace overlooking the city lights. The night air carried the first hint of autumn crispness, and Rebecca pulled her wrap tighter around her shoulders. "Cold?" Michael asked, genuinely concerned. "I'm fine." The automatic response came before she could consider it. A lifetime of projecting strength had made vulnerability seem like weakness. The silence between them felt charged with possibilities neither had voiced. Rebecca was acutely aware of the years etched on her face, the silver in her hair. Michael was 41, not dramatically younger, but in a world where powerful women were judged by impossible standards, the gap felt significant. "I haven't done this in a long time," she admitted, looking out at the city rather than at him. "Done what?" "Talked to someone without an agenda. Without calculating the advantage." He turned toward her, his expression thoughtful. "And what's your calculation now?" "That's just it. I'm not calculating anything, and it's terrifying." His laugh was soft, understanding. I know that feeling. After Sarah died, I had to relearn how to just be with people. Not as a widower or a single parent or a professional, but as myself. And did you relearn it? Some days. He paused. Emma helps. 9-year-olds have a way of cutting through pretense. Rebecca smiled, trying to imagine a life shaped around a child's needs rather than quarterly reports and shareholder expectations. She sounds remarkable. She is. He hesitated. She'd like you. The implication, that they might meet, that this conversation could extend beyond tonight, hung between them. Rebecca felt an unfamiliar flutter of hope, immediately followed by a wave of doubt. Before she could overthink it, the question slipped out. Is my age a problem? She whispered, hating the vulnerability in her voice but unable to suppress it. Michael's expression shifted from surprise to something deeper, more complex. He stepped closer, his eyes holding hers with unexpected intensity. Rebecca, he said quietly, when you've watched someone you love die young, you stop thinking of age as a problem. You start seeing it as a privilege denied to many. Every silver hair, every laugh line, they're evidence of a life being lived. My problem isn't your age. My problem is figuring out if a woman who's conquered the business world would have any interest in a man who chose to scale down his career to build Lego castles with his daughter. The honesty of his answer struck her like a physical force. For years, Rebecca had braced herself against judgment for being too old, preparing counterarguments and projecting confidence she didn't always feel. Never had she considered that her power and success might be the barrier, not her age. I used to build incredible Lego structures, she said, her voice barely audible. Before I decided such things were childish and beneath me. His smile then, warm, hopeful, with just a hint of challenge, would later become the moment she remembered as the beginning of everything that followed. Maybe you should try again sometime, he said. That night marked the start of a journey neither had expected. Their first real date was nothing like Rebecca had experienced before. Instead of an exclusive restaurant with a 3-month waiting list, Michael invited her to help with an art workshop at his community center. She arrived overdressed and anxious, only to find herself elbow-deep in clay within an hour, laughing harder than she had in years as she attempted to teach teenagers how to build structurally sound sculptures. Meeting Emma proved even more transformative. Rebecca had expected wariness or resentment from the child, but instead encountered a precocious 9-year-old with her father's thoughtful eyes and her own definite opinions. Dad says you run a big company, Emma stated during their first meeting at the park, sizing Rebecca up with unnerving directness. I do, Rebecca replied, uncertain how to speak to a child without sounding condescending. Do you like it? The simple question gave her pause. When was the last time anyone had asked not about her success or strategies, but whether she actually enjoyed her work? Parts of it, she answered honestly. I like solving problems and helping people build things that matter. I don't like the politics or pretending to be perfect all the time. Emma nodded, apparently satisfied. Dad says it's important to do things that make your heart feel big, not squeezed. From across the playground, Michael watched them, his expression a mixture of hope and apprehension that mirrored Rebecca's own feelings. The transition from successful but isolated CEO to woman in a relationship with a single father was far from smooth. Rebecca struggled to balance her demanding career with her growing desire to be present in Michael and Emma's lives. Board members raised eyebrows at her newfound tendency to leave the office before 8. Her executive team seemed bewildered when she began asking about their families and actually listening to the answers. Michael faced his own challenges. Some friends questioned his choice to date someone from such a different world. His in-laws worried about another woman taking their late daughter's place. Emma, despite her initial acceptance, went through periods of testing boundaries, afraid of another loss in a life already marked by profound grief. 6 months into their relationship, their worlds collided in unexpected ways. Rebecca's company was considering closing a manufacturing facility that would devastate the community where many of Michael's center's families lived. The business case was clear, but for the first time, Rebecca saw beyond the numbers to the human impact: the parents who wouldn't be able to afford art classes, the teenagers who would lose their first jobs, the community that would suffer. The ensuing fight was their worst. Michael accused her of valuing profit over people. Rebecca defended her responsibility to shareholders while internally questioning her own values. They parted in anger, both too proud to reach out first. 3 days of silence followed, during which Rebecca moved through her life mechanically, making decisions with the ruthless efficiency that had built her career while feeling increasingly hollow inside. On the 4th day, as she prepared for the board meeting that would finalize the plant closure, her assistant interrupted with an urgent message. "Emma Reeves is here to see you." Rebecca froze. "What?" "She came alone. Took public transportation. Says it's important." Heart racing, Rebecca found the 9-year-old sitting determinedly in the reception area, small backpack clutched to her chest, looking simultaneously terrified and resolute. "Emma, what are you doing here? Does your father know where you are?" The girl shook her head. "He's at work. I left a note." Her chin trembled slightly. "Are you and Dad getting divorced?" The question, so innocent, so mistaken, yet so revealing, caught Rebecca off guard. "Emma, your dad and I aren't married. We can't get divorced." "Well, whatever the word is for when people who love each other stop talking and get sad all the time." Love. The word echoed in Rebecca's mind. Had either she or Michael actually said it yet? She realized with startling clarity that they hadn't, both too cautious, too scarred by past losses to risk such vulnerability. "How did you even find my office?" Rebecca asked, guiding Emma into her private conference room, away from curious eyes. "Dad has your business card on his desk. I memorized the address." She looked around at the gleaming surfaces and floor-to-ceiling windows. "Your office is fancy. Like a spaceship." Despite her worry, Rebecca smiled. "Sometimes it feels like I'm on another planet here." She sat beside Emma rather than across from her. "I need to call your dad right away. He must be terrified." "He's going to be so mad," Emma admitted, shoulders slumping. "But I had to come. You make him happy." "Before you," he smiled, but his eyes were still sad. "Now they're not. Except since your fight, they are again." The simple observation, delivered with a child's unvarnished honesty, struck Rebecca more powerfully than any boardroom argument. She called Michael immediately, her heart breaking at the panic in his voice when he answered. "She's with me," Rebecca assured him quickly. "She's safe. She came to my office." His relief was palpable, followed quickly by exasperation. "Put her on the phone, please." Rebecca handed her phone to Emma, who listened silently to what was clearly a paternal lecture, occasionally wiping tears from her cheeks. "I'm sorry, Daddy," she finally said. "I just wanted to fix things." After the call, Rebecca knelt before Emma, wiping a stray tear with her thumb. "Your dad is on his way here. He's not as angry as he is scared. He loves you very much." Emma nodded miserably. "Are you going to start talking to each other again?" The question was so direct, so free of adult complexity, that Rebecca couldn't help but give an equally direct answer. "Yes," she said firmly. "We are. And I'm sorry you were worried enough to do something so dangerous as traveling across the city alone. You're not going to close the factory, are you?" Emma asked suddenly. "Lily's dad works there. She's my best friend, and she says they'll have to move away if it closes." Rebecca felt the weight of the child's question, so simple, yet encompassing all the complex tensions in her relationship with Michael. Before she could formulate a response, her phone chimed with a calendar reminder for the board meeting. When Michael arrived 20 minutes later, still breathless with worry, he found Rebecca and Emma huddled over a laptop in the conference room, deep in conversation with Rebecca's chief financial officer via video call. Emma, Michael said, relief and lingering fear making his voice sharp. Do you have any idea how dangerous that was? How worried I've been. Emma ran to him, flinging her arms around his waist. I'm sorry, Daddy. But Rebecca needed to see the people, not just the numbers. Michael looked up, meeting Rebecca's eyes over his daughter's head, confusion evident in his expression. Your daughter, Rebecca said quietly, has been helping me prepare for my board meeting. She's quite persuasive. Before Michael could respond, Rebecca's assistant appeared at the door. They're ready for you. Rebecca nodded, gathering her materials. I have to go. Wait here? Both of you? Please. Michael hesitated, clearly still processing the situation, but nodded. The board meeting that followed became legendary in corporate circles, the day Rebecca Morgan presented not just a financial analysis but a community impact study, complete with photographs and stories of families affected by the potential closure. She outlined an alternative plan, retooling the factory for a new product line, partnering with the community college for workforce training, and accepting temporarily lower margins for long-term sustainability. This isn't just charity, she concluded, facing down skeptical board members. It's strategic investment in our workforce and reputation. The numbers work if we extend our timeline and measure success more holistically. After 2 hours of heated debate, the board approved her plan conditionally, demanding quarterly reviews and strict benchmarks. As the room cleared, the chairman lingered behind. That was a different approach for you, Rebecca, he observed. Effective, but unexpected. What changed? Rebecca considered the question carefully. I started seeing the whole picture instead of just parts of it, she finally answered. And I had help from an unexpected consultant. When she returned to her office, she found Michael and Emma engaged in an intense game of hangman on her whiteboard. They turned simultaneously as she entered, twin expressions of question on their faces. They approved the alternative plan, Rebecca said. No closure. Reinvestment instead. Emma's whoop of delight echoed through the executive floor, causing Michael to wince and Rebecca to laugh. Later that evening, after Emma had been put to bed with extra stories as both apology for scaring her father and reward for her bravery, Michael and Rebecca sat on his worn living room sofa, the day's emotions finally catching up with them. I'm still processing the fact that my 9-year-old essentially ran away to lobby the CEO of a major corporation, Michael said, running a hand through his hair. She's extraordinary, Rebecca replied. Terrifyingly so. But she shouldn't have had to do that. No, he agreed. That was on us. We should have talked it through instead of retreating to our corners. Rebecca nodded, feeling the weight of her next words before speaking them. I've spent my career making decisions based on data and strategic advantage. Relationships were transactions. Emotions were inefficient. She took a deep breath. And then you and Emma came along and disrupted everything I thought I knew. Michael's hand found hers, warm and solid. Is that a good disruption or a bad one? Terrifying, she admitted. But good. I'm making decisions differently now. Seeing differently. I know. I am too. He squeezed her hand. When Sarah died, I thought I'd never feel whole again. I built a life for Emma that was safe but small. I was afraid to want more. The silence between them felt different now, not charged with what remained unsaid, but peaceful, grounded in shared understanding. Is my age still not a problem? Rebecca asked, echoing her whispered question from months ago, but this time with a small smile. Michael's answer was to kiss her, gently at first, then with growing certainty. When they separated, he rested his forehead against hers.